Thank you for joining us. You're with Peter Rue, also known as Mortgage by Rue, and I'm with a good friend of mine, Deep Singh from John L. Scott.
Hey, how's it going, Peter? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, excellent, man. Hey, I appreciate you coming on. Deep and I have been talking about doing podcasts and videos together. We did one, it was a few years back, but it was over at the John L. Scott studio down in the Kent office. It's pretty nice, but yeah, Deep and I have known each other for about 5 years now. You know, I feel like time flies.
Yeah, right? It really does. I remember when we first met at Earl's.
Yeah. But one of the things that me and Deep and I just hit it off from right away. And I just remember he invited me out to Tampa, out of all places. I've never been to Tampa before, but he just said, "Hey, I'm gonna go." I think he went with your brother. No, I can't. I don't think your brother went that time.
No, it was. I put an offer in on a property in Tampa, and the offer got accepted. So I had to shoot out there. It was maybe a 2-day notice, and I had to go out there for the inspection. And so I was like, "Hey, man, I'm going to be here for the weekend. Come by, just enjoy Tampa with me for a weekend." And you said, "Yeah, let's go."
Yeah,
you booked your trip.
It was fun. I always considered Tampa the San Diego of the East Coast.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Same vibe. It's different. And the nice thing with Tampa is it's growing. It's still growing, right? So there's so many more companies that are coming in. There's so many more buildings since the last time you've been, that they're just growing like crazy. So
yeah, what I was really impressed with is the money that's being dumped in by developers. I think you said Bill Gates, and who's the owner of the hockey team?
I'm not sure who the owner is. You talking about the Lightning?
The Lightning, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure who the owner of the Lightning is.
But the condos, the mixed-use buildings that are being built out there, you could tell that there's a lot of money being pumped into Tampa specifically.
Oh, yeah. Like the whole Water Street area where we were hanging out, there's a whole nother expansion on the other side. And it just keeps growing. They have a ferry that actually takes you to the other side, St. Petersburg, and it's literally right there. So it's definitely, when you come back in November, hopefully you guys can make it.
Yeah.
It will definitely show you guys a good time and show you all the different new things. So
yeah. Well, again, I appreciate you coming out. Being the subject expert matter of real estate and investing. But let's take it back a little bit. I want to know a little bit more about you, your background, and how you got into real estate.
So, I've been in real estate for about 10 years now. And prior to that, I was actually in the fitness industry. So I started off in 2007 as a personal trainer at 24 Hour Fitness, and learned a lot about myself. And I was in school at the time. So I was, going to school, and I was doing the personal training thing on the side. And then it became more of a full-time thing along with full-time school. So, I did that for quite a few years. And then I opened up my own business. And I started doing that as a trainer on my own, have my own company. And then I was working with other companies with health and wellness programs for them. And then I started doing consulting. So everything just kind of kept growing. And then I ran into a guy in my actual gym. He was telling me, he's like, "Hey, you should get into real estate." And I said, "Oh, I've never really thought about it." But he's like, "You should just look into it and kind of see, because, I think you'd be great at it." So I was like, "Okay, I'll give it a shot." So I went out, I got my license, and then I started working with Windermere. And I think the first year, I sold 6 or 7 houses or something like that. But then I was kind of stuck and, kind of complacent, and I was still doing fitness on the side. So I was like, I just need to go full time and see what's going to happen. I'll jump off the bridge and see what happens, right?
Wow.
And then a good friend of mine, Derek, too, was at John L. Scott. I think you know. And so he started about, a year or 2 years prior to me. And he was at John L. Scott, and he said, "You need to come and sit down and talk to my mentors." And then I came in there and sat with Saul, which is the famous godfather of real estate, and Jim Wilder, which is another famous godfather of real estate. And they gave me a plan. And within 15 minutes, I was super clear with my vision of where I was going to go, not just in real estate, but life in general, right? Kind of gave me a path, right? Because there's so much distraction out there, and, you should make a whole bunch of money in real estate, but money is not everything if you don't have purpose, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think, especially in any industry, but specifically real estate related mortgage, mentorship, accountability, those things are super important if you want to be successful. Because I remember the first, 5 to 7 years of my mortgage career, I was never afraid of hard work, but you're just spinning your wheels and you're just working harder, not smarter. And then once I had a mentor and had a program where it was like, similar to what you're talking about, the mentorship program, that's really when I made strides. It's like being around the right people, I feel like is crucial to be successful in any industry, but specifically real estate and mortgage.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because, it comes with a lot of hard work and, long hours. And, if you have a family or you're in a relationship, there's definitely a lot of sacrifice. So, it's like Saul always asked me, he's like, when do you want to get out of the rat race? You can get, rich selling real estate, but you can't get wealthy without actually owning real estate.
Right. So, I think that's where mentorship comes in too. It's like you look at big picture. When you're in a sales environment, you're just looking for those that look just, for the next sale. You're going to be in that rat race for a long time. Yeah. But for those who can see the bigger picture, like what do you do with the money that you make?
Absolutely.
Are you reinvesting or are you blowing it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I get a lot of people's fear, right? Oh, well, I don't know if it's the right investment, or I don't know if I'm fit for this. Well, I guess I always talk to my clients because I'm an investor too, and I talk to my clients and I show them kind of how I evaluate properties, and what's a good investment and what's a horrible investment. And I think with social media, there's so many different things that are being thrown at you. Like, this is a good investment, you should go down this route. But realistically, it's not necessarily fit for you. You need to actually kind of, get an idea of what you really want. And then from there, you can figure out, this is my actual investment strategy going forward.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times a consumer gets a lot of information and act on what the media says, and what they read online. And we're all taught, don't believe everything you read, online. Like, you're not going to diagnose yourself about an ailment and then just operate on yourself. So, what I really admire about Deep and his business is he's not going to just tell you buy the house just to buy the house and he can get a commission check. He looks at, again, long term. He looks at, hey, does this make sense for my client? And he'll tell the goods and the bads of a property, which is, I think, important. We we're basically advisors, right, in the real estate industry. We have to be able to look out for the best interests of our clients.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. And you have to actually have those resources out for your clients as well, too, because as a first-time home buyer, or let's say a first-time investor, something goes wrong with the property, or there's some issues going on with the, let's say the roof or the windows or anything like that. And these clients of yours are having to call these people they don't know, like contractors. They don't have the right people and set for that. It's going to be stressful for them. But, one of the things that, my team and I do is we actually go out and we send them the resources. We give them the contractors. We have the same contractors we've been using forever, right? So we send those contractors to them because we trust them and we know they're going to take care of them.
Yeah, and all contractors are not built the same. That's unfortunately an industry where there's goods and bad. I mean, I guess that with every industry, but you just coming into the studio, you're talking with your own contractor about a project. So
my own project.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, I mean he's great. He's awesome. He's able to really go in on a property and find out and say, well, these are the future repairs you're going to have to do. So you might as well take care of it now, or opposed to you having to take care in the future and it being way more expensive.
So that's interesting. You're talking about your own project. You mind sharing a little bit about it? Like, is this going to be a buy and hold or buy and flip?
Well, it was actually one of my rentals. And so so right now what I'm doing is tenants are out and we've kind of been remodeling the property. So I've been working on it since end of May. So we're actually going to be moving in here next week on the property. And we remodeled it back in 2017. and then we were going to, sell it, but the market wasn't as hot. And we're like, okay, let's just hold on to it. So ended up holding on to it, and then, made some great cash flow on it. But I think it was time for me to go in there, and, due to certain circumstances, I need to be in this particular location. So like, this is a perfect opportunity for me to live in this property. It's a beautiful property, but we need to make it kind of, home. So remodeled it, put some money into it, and so it kind of frees up a little bit more capital for me as well too, because I was going to buy another property, but now I can use that capital that I've saved and invest into like some other multifamily.
So Deep, I've noticed a little bit that the greater Seattle market has softened a little bit. What is your take on that?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, rates are coming down, as you know, but I think there's a lot of people that are actually watching the news every day and worried about what's going to happen with the election, and worried about the future, right? And so I think that has a big part in what's happening. And then I also think that a lot of people right now are just on pause because summer vacation is, still in play. Kids are not going back to school till like the first week of September. So many people are just out doing things. And so, buying real estate is not necessarily a priority.
Yeah.
Right now.
And real estate is seasonal.
It's seasonal, right?
There are some ebbs and flows.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously 2020 was a complete different story in 2021. But, as far as the real estate market goes, typically springtime is the hottest market, and summer, sometimes it can be a hit or miss, it just depends. But I think that's kind of what's happening. Rates are coming down, which is great news, right? I think eventually it's going to pick back up because we are still in a huge housing shortage on a national level. Yeah. So I think it's definitely gonna pick back up. But I don't hold the crystal ball, so I can't really give you that advice. But yeah, I think it's definitely softened up a little bit, and I have faith that's gonna pick right back up.
Out of your clients that you're working with right now, your buyers, and it's well publicized that the feds are going to lower rates in September. How many of your clients are actually taking that to home and waiting for that interest rate to drop in September to buy a home?
Well, actually, none of my clients are, because I kind of educated them and told them, I said, look, you want to buy when you have an opportunity to negotiate, right? When you're buying when the rates are super low and there's, crazy multiple offers, you actually end up paying more for the home. If you get a home now, and if the rates do drop next year, right, and the rates continue to drop, you can continue to refinance. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest thing. You don't marry the rate, you marry the home. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and I think, once you actually crunch the numbers, a lot of times when I do this with the clients, because they say, mm-hmm. hey, I'm just going to wait for rates to drop, mm-hmm. and then we do a comparison, right? Like if you wait a year, you're probably going to increase in 10% in a year.
Yeah.
And then versus, how much do you really save on rate? Mm-hmm. Then they'll see, especially the ones that are analytical.
Yeah.
They see that and they say, okay, wow, that's a huge difference. And so it doesn't make sense to wait for rates to drop. And then I think it's always, a couple years ago when the market was hot, it's always the buyers. It's unfortunate for the buyers, right? Because they have to do, basically they are exposing themselves, right? Because they can't get a contingency for an inspection. Mm-hmm. They have to waive their financing contingency. I've seen earnest money up to $100,000 that's waived and give to the seller like right away. I mean, it's just you're setting yourself up for a disaster that could possibly happen, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And, I think when there's multiple offers, and, I always advise my clients that, hey, look, these are the offers that we're essentially competing with. Where do you feel comfortable with? And these offers are waiving inspections, and that's dangerous just from the beginning, right? Waiving any sort of contingency is dangerous. And so we try to educate them on, hey, this is the fear. But right now, you have a little bit more opportunity to negotiate and keep your contingencies in place, right? You can keep your financing contingency, your title contingency, your inspection contingency. And those are extremely important.
Yeah, and I'm also seeing seller credits. I'm also seeing non-contingent contingent offers being accepted by sellers.
Oh yeah.
So I think this is the time now where you can actually negotiate on the homes.
Oh yeah. Just a couple months ago, we ended up negotiating $100,000 off of a multifamily property for our clients, and actually ended up getting appraised for $200,000 more than what they paid for it.
Wow.
So I mean, there's opportunities out there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you brought up a good point. So, a lot of people are investing in single family residence, but I think the ones that are looking at multifamily, because that's where everything's going, right? With all the zoning changes that are happening in Washington. I mean, it's all over the nation. California already has, I think, you can build up to 3 ADUs on a property. And Seattle's getting there. But, if someone wants to get into multifamily investing, because, that's what we're going to see more and more of. What would you recommend to those people? Like, what do they need to look at as far as, is it a sound investment?
Well, when we sit down with our investors, whatever property it is, we actually go over all the numbers with them. So it's a numbers game, and the investors that we work with, there's no emotional attachment to the property, right? Especially when it's the multifamily, they're wanting to make sure that the numbers work. And a lot of times they don't even look at the property. They want to see the numbers first before they look at the property to see if the numbers match up and if there's any opportunity for them to change those numbers in their favor. So one of the things that we do is we evaluate the process, right? Things is the taxes. How much are the taxes? How much is the insurance? What are the overhead expenses? Can we actually, change these expenses? Can we bring them lower? Can we bring in a different property management company? Or if, some of our clients are actually living in one of the units. So obviously you can probably elaborate a little bit more on that, but the down payment is lower, right? Because it's owner occupied.
Yeah. I mean, you can get into a 4-unit with an FHA loan with as little as 3.5% down. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. 3.5% down to buy a multi-unit. Yeah. I mean, people like Grant Cardone are talking about, hey, for your first home, don't buy a condo, buy a multi-unit that you can move into. And so, I mean, I just think that people are more savvy. There's more information out there for people to buy different type of investment properties. But I mean, I think that working with a good realtor who understands the extra expenses, being able to run the numbers are crucial. You brought up property management. Is that hard to find for a multi-unit? Because I think that for most investors, they don't want to deal with the headaches of managing a property.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And I always recommend having a good property management company, and we have a couple that we always refer to. But no, that can make or break your investment for sure. Because those are the people that are managing all your funds, right? Making sure that the property is being taken care of, and all the the income that's coming in is actually properly being deposited and so forth. So, but if you're living in one of the units, then essentially you're actually the one managing it. You don't have to tell them that you're the owner, but you're the eyes. So, when people buy their first investment property, is usually going to be a single family residence, right? So out of your investors who buy multi-unit, are there ever like first time home buyers, or not first time home buyers, but they're buying a multi-unit versus a single family residence? Or are they well seasoned? They bought a bunch of real estate. They're possibly doing a 1031 exchange to purchase a multi-unit. What are you seeing out there? I would say it's about 50-50 right now. And part of it is because, there's not enough education out there. And so I'm trying to do a better job of educating my clients and, anybody that they refer me. I'm trying to do more classes and stuff on it. But I don't think all this knowledge that we're talking right now is online, right? It's not like easily accessible, because that 3.5% down for a multifamily, I don't think that very many people know about that, right?
Yeah.
They just think that, hey, I need, for 3.5% down for a home, where opposed to 3.5 on a 2 to 4 unit. I mean, ideally, let's say you had a 4 unit, multifamily, and you lived in one. I mean, the likelihood of somebody being able to cover your full mortgage off the other 3 units is
very high. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's switch gears a little bit here. So the Seattle market is known to be one of the most expensive homes in the nation. Affordability is tough, right? So, I've seen more and more investors investing out of state, right? Because it's a lot more affordable. So, someone like you who's invested in real estate in, let's say, for example, Tampa. Tell me a little bit about the market in Tampa, because when I went and visited, that was a few years ago. That whole downtown area, it's really, you could tell how much money is being pumped into there. So can you tell me a little bit about like what opportunities are there? Are there jobs out there?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, one of the reasons why I invested in Tampa is, as a kid, my family and I, we lived in Tampa, Florida. Right. So, and then, my brother actually currently lives there now, and I have family. My aunt and uncle live there, and, my mom goes back and forth over there as well. So, I saw the actual future there. As far as like the actual economic, standpoint of why it's good to invest. I see there's companies coming there, right? But it's nothing like Seattle, right? As far as like it being the tech hub, you got, all the different companies here. Maybe eventually it will get there. I can't really speak on the future, but I definitely see a lot of developers seeing the future in Tampa. I'm seeing a lot of people from New York coming over there. I mean, there's a lot of New Yorkers in Florida right now. And a lot of people from all over are actually going there just to invest, because one, it's a lot cheaper, and two, the weather plays a big factor.
So like, let's say a first-time home buyer buying a single-family residence in Tampa, let's just say roughly, 15 to 1,800 square feet. Roughly, how much is a house like that going to be in Tampa?
Depending on what part of Tampa, but I would say it's probably roughly around 700,000. So I mean, it's going up for sure.
That's definitely affordable, though. I mean,
it is affordable. Yeah,
I remember when Renton, for example, was right around there.
Oh yeah,
right.
Oh yeah, rent was cheaper. A lot of these other, I mean, Renton. I mean, even the Kirkland was cheap years ago. A lot more cheaper than it is now.
Yeah,
but hey, that just kind of shows to you that real estate is just a great tool, right? I mean, you buy and you hold, right? Because history shows every 7 to 10 years you're going to double your value. So, but yeah, as far as Tampa goes, I mean, there's tons of growth happening over there. There's a lot of big time developers coming over there and still building. So it says a lot, and companies and stuff eventually are going to make their way over there. So I mean, there's pros and cons of everything, right? I mean, the biggest thing that a lot of people fear is, the insurance, right? The insurance is high because of hurricanes, right?
Hurricanes.
But it also depends on, what zone you're in. We're a little bit further out from the craziness, and we always seem to get lucky and miss the hurricane. But some of the homes that are like right there on the water, they're definitely in danger, and the insurance is way higher. So
cool. So
Peter, what are you seeing right now as far as like working with buyers and so forth to getting them approved? Are you seeing a little bit more of a slowdown on that? Are you seeing people just on the sidelines? Or are you seeing people aggressive?
Yeah, I mean, as far as like volume goes, there's definitely it's better than last year, but slower than what was anticipated.
Okay,
you see a lot of mortgage companies actually right now, they're either getting bought out or they're going out of business. And it's because a lot of these mortgage companies were hedging. They're hedging that the market would have picked up by now.
Okay.
But I think a lot of it has to do with interest rates, still being somewhat high. I mean, if you look at it historically, still, this is pretty low.
It is.
It's pretty low where it's at right now, but we've been so spoiled, and everyone looks at a 10-year period, if you look at a 10-year period, this looks high, right? But if you look at a 30-year period,
oh yeah,
like when our parents were buying homes,
double digit,
interest rates. And so, now, given that homes are much more expensive now, affects the affordability. But what I have been seeing is the quality of buyers, right? It used to be, when it was 2-3%, a lot of people were well qualified, and it wasn't any problems. But now we're seeing higher debt to income ratios. Consumer debt is actually at almost all-time highs right now.
Oh yeah,
like people spent a lot of money during COVID.
Yeah, maxed out the credit cards.
Well, like I have a good friend of mine who sells jewelry, watches, and luxury, anything luxury was selling at a high, at high volumes during that COVID period, and so we're now seeing inflation coming back down. It's because, like the job reports, they've been skewed, right?
Yeah,
like they just released that this week, and the unemployment looks a lot worse than they thought it was, right? Yeah. So spending has come down a lot. The consumer debt being high. There's been some layoffs. I actually have a client who bought a home last year, and he got laid off. And this is a Fortune 500 company. He has to sell his house, right? Wow. He has to sell his house or his condo because of this. So, I think that has a lot to do. Our economy is not as strong as we pictured it to be, but I say this is the best time to buy, right? This is the best time. It's funny when people are always, when the market's hot, people are always looking to buy. Yeah. And that's actually the worst time to buy. Yeah. Right. The best time to buy is when no one's buying.
100%. I mean, I know I'm looking for one.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're getting aggressive, and I think here before the end of the year is going to be your opportunity. I think going into next year, we don't know where the rates are going to be. If the rates are going to be lower, that means there's going to be way more competition out there. So I know that my game plan is buy, one more this year and hold off and wait to refinance it until next year, because realistically, like you were saying, is over a 10-year, people are looking, this is high. But if you look in history, this is actually really good, Yeah. And who knows? I mean, we might even see, maybe 6% is going to be the norm, or 5% might be the norm, but we can't really tell, right? So that's why I wanted to get your opinion on what you see in the market and where you're at with your business as far as approvals. Has they gone down? Have they gone up? But no, that's great. Thank you for answering that.
Yeah, I mean, we still have that affordability issue here, right? Affordability is always going to be. There's no short-term solution for affordability. The state's doing some things where they're allowing DADUs. We're going to see more of those. Freddie Mac just came out with some loan programs that's going to allow you to actually build a DADU with a regular conventional mortgage, right? Wow. So you can do a cash out and then build something, right? Oh, wow. So,
which could save you tons of money long term. Yeah.
I mean, house hacking is, it's a new thing, right? Yeah. I should say a new thing, but it's newer than when our parents were buying homes, and they would not even think about, having someone live on their property.
Yeah. But no, I mean, the traditional way was, buy a home. Right? Wasn't necessarily buying multiple homes, but it was buy a home, raise a family, so definitely, things have changed for sure.
Cool. All right. So we're going to wrap this up with our rapid fire questions. Deep, are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Deep, where's your favorite restaurant?
Ooh, that's a good question. I love sushi, so
I know you love sushi.
I have to say right now is Japanese in Bellevue.
Okay, nice. What is your favorite social spot?
I would say the W in Bellevue.
Okay. Favorite place for coffee or tea? Do you drink coffee?
I do.
You do? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm as basic as they come. So
Starbucks. You know what's great about Starbucks is you know what you're gonna get, right?
Nitro cold brew.
What is your choice of beverage?
You know, when I'm out, I usually do like a tequila reposado and soda.
I think that's why we connected. It was the tequila, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Harold and Kumar.
Harold and Kumar take over Tampa.
Oh yeah, that was a good time.
All right, dream vacation. If money was not an object, where would you go?
You know, that's a good question because I haven't really thought so much about, you know, exactly where, you know, I could go, right? I mean, there's so many different places that's on the you know, bucket list, but you know, I think I'd say right now off the top of my head, like Bora Bora would be something, you know, that I would love to.
That's on top of my list too.
Yeah, Bora Bora for sure.
All right, last question. When I'm not selling real estate, I am
just chilling with my friends and family, watching sports, you know, boxing, football,
gym. You could tell this guy goes to the gym
every once in a while. But yeah, just spending quality time with good people. You know, that's important to me. You know, especially the older I am now. It's like, you know, family and friends. The closer we are, the better I do.
Yeah, so. Isn't it funny how as you get older, your circle shrinks?
Absolutely. Right? Yeah, and like they say, who you surround yourself with is extremely important. So positive energy on my end for sure.
Well, there you have it. Deep Singh, John L. Scott. Hey, I appreciate you being on our podcast.
Thank you for having me.